Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. Today, I'm going to show you how to make an appetizer that is super easy and very elegant and very good. Tastes really good. And so it is a baked brie. And there are different ways that you can bake brie. Um, Today, I'm going to show you how to do it with puff pastry. Now, you don't actually have to bake brie with puff pastry, but I like to do that just because it adds an extra layer of flavor to your brie, and it tastes really good. And so brie is a French cheese that dates back to quite a few years ago. They even said like Charlemagne, when he discovered brie when he was in France, he was raving about it, and it was his favorite cheese. And so it's definitely one of my favorite cheeses, and it's a soft cheese that does really well with all kinds of things. So there you can use sweet items on your brie, and you can even use savory items like caramelized onions, tomatoes, whatever you want. I would, if I were you, experiment with it. And so I'm going to show you just a video on showing you the first part, and I'm getting the puff pastry ready for it. And here I am rolling it out. So you let your puff pastry defrost, and then you roll it out. And the cutting board I used was too small, so you want to make sure you have a bigger cutting board, or you use your counter space. And then I'm cutting the edges off because I decided I'm going to use some of those edges to put on top and make a little leaf um, kind of decoration on top of your brie while it's baking. And so that's why I'm cutting. And I'm not doing a great job of making it, and because I'm not artistic. And so what's kind of neat about baked brie is you don't have to. With puff pastry, it's a very forgiving pastry. You can do a lot with it. It's still a little chilled there. And here I'm putting a little bit less than half a cup of jam. And this particular jam I think is blackberry. And I just kind of am putting that over the puff pastry, kind of starting with that layer. And a lot of jams work really well with brie. And so I'm just smoothing that on. And then I'm going to add some dried fruit. And so the dried fruit that I have are dried cherries. Right now, around this time of year, cranberries, dried cranberries are a real popular item to put on your baked brie. But I had some dried cherries, so I just added those to it. And then those are pecans. They're pralines, so they're sweetened pecans. And then I love pumpkin seed, so I just threw in some pumpkin seed on there. Gives it a nice little something a little crunchy so that you can eat while you're having your cheese. So you've got all your sweet and a little bit of salty in there. And then this is an egg wash. And with the egg wash, you're going to use that. It's just one beaten egg with 1 tablespoon water. And you're going to use that to basically seal your brie into the puff pastry. And so I'm spreading it all the way on the outside of the ingredients that we have there. And it's a nice little, I'm really enjoying, I don't know if you've noticed, but I really have enjoyed working with puff pastry. It's been kind of fun because it's a lot easier than I thought it would be. And so I think I was always kind of intimidated by it. And the more you play around with it, the better you are with it. And so I'm still learning, but I really am enjoying that. So that is part one of of it. And so while I was doing that, I'm also actually heating the oven to 400 degrees. And so I was heating the oven to 400 degrees, and then, heating the oven to 400 degrees, and I was going to cook it for about, I would say about 35 to 40 minutes. So here is the next step I'm showing you. So that is the puff pastry going over the brie. Now you can take the rind off the brie. I left the rind on the brie. It doesn't really affect it so much. It just kind of, if you don't like the rind, you can just take it off. But I'm okay with it. And so you just turn it around, and I kind of made it a little loose. And then here I am going to do my little leaf where I'm going to put it on top, and also use my egg wash. So learn from my mistake. In my mistake, I actually should have put the brie at that point on top of the dish that I'm going to bake in. So I had a dish to the right with some parchment paper. And so the parchment paper helps just an easy cleanup when you throw something in the oven. So if you've never worked with parchment paper before, it's super easy, and it just makes cleanup so much fun. And so, because sometimes you don't have to clean anything, and that's even better. But I should have put that brie on top of the parchment paper first, and then I could have went ahead and covered it with the egg wash on top, which it works out. It worked out. I just used my hands and moved it when it was ready. So there's my leaf, and it's not real fancy, as you can see. It's just a triangle. Putting some of my triangles on. I did put like a little design on it, just kind of with the knife, made a little design. Now, if you wanted to get fancy, you could get like some cookie cutters and cut out some fun little designs on your leftover pastry there that you use to decorate. And then I've got my little ball. And then I end up washing that with the egg wash, putting that over. And then I'll stick it in the oven for about 40 minutes. I went ahead and did the full 40 under 400, and it really turned out pretty. So you can see I'm not artistic at all. It's just kind of throwing on some extra layers there. And then they ended up, went ahead and, you know, sorry, trying to do two things at once here. I went ahead and just kind of threw it in the oven like that. And then what you're going to see is you're going to see the finished product. And it is really beautiful. So you can see I went ahead and cut it. And then here you can see the fruit dropping. And that is your baked brie. And you can even see the rind underneath. If you wanted to pull the rind off before you eat it, you could have. It's just kind of worked out really well. And it's a nice little appetizer that you can use. And it just looks like you slaved away. And as you can see, it didn't take long at all. The longest time was actually just the baking part. And that's, of course, the easy part. So I hope you give it a try and try out your baked brie. Check and see like what other kind of toppings you'd want to put on it. You can put some caramelized onions. You can put some fig jelly. That's a real popular thing to put on. There is so much that you can do that I really highly recommend you trying it out. Maybe for Valentine's Day for a special dinner, you can do that. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope you enjoy your baked brie and experiment. Thanks.